Hello, everyone, and welcome to Daily English Dose. Today, we're diving into a captivating story that explores the mysterious corridors of memory and identity. Have you ever woken up somewhere completely unfamiliar, with no idea how you got there or even who you are? Imagine the chilling sensation of your entire past being wiped clean, leaving you with nothing but questions. This is the journey of Emma, a young woman who wakes up in a luxurious, yet unsettlingly quiet mansion, with no recollection of her life. As she tries to piece together the fragments of her memory, she uncovers a truth far more complex and dangerous than she could ever have imagined. If you're ready for a thrilling ride filled with suspense, unexpected twists, and a deep dive into the human psyche, let's begin. Section 1. Awakening into the Unknown. When Emma opened her eyes, the first thing she felt was a throbbing in her head. Where was she? Why was she here? Most importantly, who was she? She lay on a luxurious bed, surrounded by expensive furniture in a spacious room. The faint moonlight filtering through the window added to the room's mystery. She wore a silk white nightgown. She brought a hand to her head, feeling a small bump. But the pain was less prominent than the void in her memory. She remembered nothing, not even her name. She got out of bed. A slight dizziness hit her as her feet touched the carpet. The room was silent. Only a faint whisper of wind could be heard from outside. She headed towards the door, an intricately carved wooden door adorned with a golden knob. She tried it. It wasn't locked. She pushed the door open and stepped into a dimly lit hallway. Old paintings hung along the corridor, each appearing even more ominous in the gloom. Her heart pounded. Was she alone in this house? She descended a grand staircase, covered with a red carpet that stretched to the floor. She looked around. Antiques, sculptures, a massive fireplace. This was a mansion. But who did it belong to? And why was she here? Suddenly, she heard a sound. A soft, melodic piano tune. The sound was coming from a half-open door at the end of the hall. With a mix of fear and curiosity, she approached the door. Who was inside? A friend or a foe? Section 2. The Mystery of Voices and Shadows. Peeking through the door, she found herself in a large music room. In the center sat a grand piano, and at its bench, with her back to Emma, sat an elegant elderly woman with pure white hair. She was playing a classical melody. The woman seemed unaware of Emma's presence. Emma held her breath, waiting. When the woman finished playing, Emma lightly cleared her throat. The old woman slowly turned. Her face held a warm, yet deeply sorrowful expression. "So, you're awake, my dear," she said softly. "It took so long to find you." Emma looked at the woman in astonishment. Who are you? Who am I? Where is this place?" The woman smiled, a bittersweet smile. "I'm Martha. This house is mine. And you? You are Emma, my granddaughter." No connection formed in Emma's mind. Granddaughter? Why couldn't she remember her then? "But I don't remember anything." The sorrow on Martha's face deepened. "I know. You were hit by a car a month ago. You lost your memory. The doctor said it was temporary, but—" Martha's voice trembled. "I wanted you to come back here, back to our home, hoping your memories might return." A car accident? Memory loss? Emma's head began to spin. What about her family? Her friends? "Is there no one else?" she asked. Martha looked away. "Unfortunately, your mother and father passed away a long time ago. It's just me. And our staff?" Martha's discomfort with the question was evident. A fleeting tension on her face was quickly masked by her usual gentle expression. David's only heir. So, now we all have each other." The emphasis on David didn't escape Emma's notice. The next day, Martha showed Emma around the house. A vast library, countless rooms, a sprawling garden. Every corner was filled with wealth and old grandeur. Martha was kind and attentive. showing Emma childhood photos and family albums. Emma saw pictures of herself as a little girl, her mother, and her father, but she couldn't feel any connection to them. These people felt like strangers. That evening during dinner, she met Simon, a quiet and shadowy presence among Martha's staff. Simon was young, tall, and always aloof. His eyes seemed to hold a secret. Martha said Simon had worked for them for years and was part of the family. Yet Simon's presence created a strange unease in Emma. His gaze, much like Emma's lost memories, seemed to hide something. Section 3. Whispers of Memories. Days turned into weeks. Emma gradually established her routine in the mansion. Martha told her everything, saying she was an art student, a young and talented painter. Emma found her old sketches and unfinished paintings in Martha's room. When she picked up a brush, she felt a strange familiarity. It was as if her fingers remembered something they had done for years. One night, she woke up to a more pronounced pain in her head. This time, with the pain came an image: brushes, paints, canvases. And next to them, a young man with windswept hair. He was smiling. But who was he? Emma had never seen that face. In the following days, these dream-like memories began to come more frequently, all in fragments, blurry. She saw herself sitting in a park, holding a sketchbook on a bench. She was at a museum, admiring a painting. The same young man was always by her side. One afternoon, while looking through the family albums Martha had shown her in the library, a photo caught her eye: Emma's mother and father's wedding photo. But on the edge of the photo, barely noticeable, was a small note: David, 1995. David? Why was David written on a wedding photo? She asked Martha. Martha hesitated, her face paling. That's just an old friend's name, darling, an insignificant detail. A worm of doubt began to gnaw at Emma. Martha's reaction was odd. Was she hiding something? That night, Emma secretly entered Martha's study. She searched for old documents, family records. In a drawer, she found a dusty box. Inside the box was a birth certificate. The name on the certificate, Emma Vance. Date of birth, June 25th, 2003. But her mother's name, the name written there, wasn't the name of the mother Martha had spoken of. Her father's name was different too, and at the bottom of the box there was an old newspaper clipping. Headline: Famous painter David Vance disappears behind veil of mystery. The article talked about a young and talented painter named David Vance and his wife. The woman with her husband in the box looked like Emma's mother. However, the painter's wife in the newspaper clipping was not Scarlett's mother. David Vance's wife resembled Scarlett's mother, but she looked even more like the woman next to that young man from Scarlett's own memory fragments. She continued reading the newspaper. It said David Vance had died in a large fire at the mansion. The cause of the fire was never determined. Emma's brain froze. David Vance? A fire? Her mother's name was different. So who was Martha then? And why had she lied to Emma? Section 4. Shattered Mirrors. Emma hastily put the box back and left the room. Her mind was a whirlwind. Was everything a lie? The family photos Martha showed her, the stories she told, were they all fake? As she moved silently down the corridor, she heard footsteps behind her. Simon! Emma quickly hid in Martha's room. Simon passed Emma's room, paused, listened at the door, and then went downstairs. Emma left the room and quickly returned to her own. She locked the door and sat on the bed. Now everything was clearer. The bump on her head wasn't from a car accident, but from something else. And that young man, he must be the painter David Vance from her emerging memories. So who was Emma herself? Suddenly, another fragment dropped into her mind. A voice: Project complete. Time to leave the mansion. Project? What did that mean? And why did she have to leave the mansion? Emma looked around her room in a panic. There had to be a way out. The window was locked, and the door could be locked from the outside. Then her gaze fell on a small mirror on the nightstand. She picked up the mirror. She looked at herself. Were those really her own eyes? Suddenly, a creak. The door opened. Simon entered. His face held an unusual, cold expression. Emma dropped the mirror to the floor. The mirror shattered into pieces. Simon slowly approached. "You've tired your grandmother greatly, Emma, but the game is over." Another image flashed in Emma's mind. Simon, with a cloth in his hand. Then everything went dark. Section 5. In the shadow of truth and unexpected help. When Emma woke up, she was in the same room again, but this time tied to the bed. The bump on her head throbbed even more. Martha and Simon stood before her. The warm expression on Martha's face was gone, replaced by a cold and calculating gaze. "What's going on here?" Emma whispered. Simon smiled, this time a disturbing grin. "The truth, Emma, or who you thought you were." Simon's eyes sparkled with the glint of money. "This mansion and everything in it will be ours. Once I'm rich enough, I'll be rid of this disgusting servant role too." Martha stepped forward. Her voice held a long simmering resentment and envy. "That car accident was a lie. We erased your memory. David Vance. He always thought he was better than me. The success I chased for years, he achieved with a snap of his fingers. He hid his greatest masterpiece, what was rightfully mine, behind a tiny canvas. But now I've found that painting, and this mansion will be mine. By erasing your memory, we made you a puppet in our hands. You are going to tell us the location of David's masterpiece." Martha's voice grew louder and louder, revealing her true colors. David Vance's painting was not just about wealth for her. It was about revenge for a past rivalry and injustice. Flashes of insight jolted through Emma's brain. Images chased each other. News reports of painter David Vance's stolen famous painting in a museum. Emma sitting on a bench, holding a sketchbook, drawing details of a painting. Simon giving Emma an injection. "Memory wipe," were the words. And finally, Martha opening a coded box. Emma remembered everything now. She was an art detective, an expert working for a special unit, tracking down lost artworks. She had learned that David Vance's last painting was hidden in this mansion, but she was caught while infiltrating the mansion, drugged, and her memory wiped. Their goal was to use her for their own purposes. By making her believe she was David Vance's granddaughter, they hoped she'd help them find the painting, and then they'd eliminate her. "The real question, Emma," Simon said mockingly, "is where's the painting? You know where it is?" Emma smiled. "Yes, I do, and you won't find it." "Why?" "Because that painting was always with you," Emma said. She motioned with her eyes to a corner of the room. There, hanging on the wall, was a modest landscape painting, appearing like any ordinary painting in the mansion. David Vance hid his final masterpiece in the most unexpected place. That painting was drawn behind this ordinary landscape picture. It could only be seen under ultraviolet light. And you won't find it because I made a copy and have already sent the real painting to a safe place. The accident story and memory loss were a trick to make you believe me. The real Emma Vance remembered all of this. Simon and Martha stared at the painting in shock. Martha rushed to the wall, tore the painting down. There was nothing behind it. Her face turned purple with rage. Suddenly, siren sounds rose from outside. "Police!" Emma smiled. "It seems my memory is fully restored. And I still have some surprises for you." Simon lunged furiously towards Emma, but two large police officers burst through the door, stopping him. One officer handcuffed Simon, while the other turned to Martha. Martha, stunned, was trying to comprehend what was happening. "I believe this lady needs assistance," one of the police officers said, approaching Emma. "And thank you for the anonymous tip about a rogue art detective in your mansion." Emma smiled faintly. "You're welcome. Everyone's just doing their job. The police officer untied Emma's bonds. How were you so sure? That's my job, Emma said, with a hint of sarcasm. Codes always contain something that can be broken, especially when you're trying to hide the truth. After being rescued, Emma stepped out of the mansion. The first rays of morning light illuminated the garden. Police cars disrupted the surrounding silence. Simon and Martha were being escorted into police vehicles, handcuffed. Before infiltrating the mansion, Emma had activated her emergency plan as a precaution. Since she was working on a known art theft case, she had set up an automated alert system with her special unit colleagues, sending location signals at regular intervals. If the signals stopped or didn't reactivate within a set time, the system would trigger the team to act. Furthermore, upon infiltration, she had placed a small listening device at a key location in the mansion. Even with her memory wiped, she had managed to transmit critical clues, like the location of David Vance's painting, to her external team via this device. This allowed her to decipher all of Martha and Simon's plans and her own true identity. Using her detective skills, she had already mentally mapped out the mansion's layout and potential escape routes before even entering. The shattering of the mirror was not just a part of her own memory recall technique, but also activated a hidden signal transmitter placed in the room that responded to a specific sound. This was her backup plan, sending an immediate danger signal to her team outside when the sound was detected. Though Simon's injection had knocked Emma unconscious, as an experienced detective, it hadn't completely silenced her mind, only creating temporary disorientation. All these plans ensured her mission continued, even if she lost her memory. "So where are you off to now?" a young police officer asked, approaching Emma. Emma raised her head, watching the sunrise. "Home, my real home." And then, onto a new mystery. She turned and walked away with confident strides, a determined expression on her face. This incident wasn't just a case for her. It was a rebirth of her identity. This story teaches us important lessons. 1. The deceptiveness of first impressions. We shouldn't always believe what we see. Sometimes, even the most trustworthy-looking person can hide a veil of secrets. 2. The power of memory and identity. Our identity is shaped by our memories. Without them, it's impossible to understand ourselves and our place in the world. 3. The pursuit of truth. When in doubt, it's important to question and pursue the truth rather than being easily convinced. Emma's curiosity and determination led her to the truth. 4. Intelligence as the greatest weapon. Beyond physical strength or cunning, intelligence and planning are the greatest weapons in overcoming the most challenging situations. What part of this story touched you the most? I'd genuinely love to know. Feel free to share your thoughts or similar experiences in the comments. If this story gave you something to think about, leave a like. It might inspire someone else too. And if you're not subscribed yet, I'd be happy to see you here every day with a new story. Remember, consistent listening, confident speaking,